All right, I'm super excited to go over this topic with you today. If you're watching this, you're probably thinking, crap, here comes the next year. I need to put a plan together. Well, don't worry. We've got a 40-minute video that you're about to watch. That will be the most detailed yearly planning session that you'll probably ever hear about. Why did I do this video in the first place? I've actually gotten quite a bit of calls recently, and I did last year when I first started working with Dwayne and building this coaching platform and this YouTube channel about, hey, how do I plan? How do I prepare for the next year? That was question number one. The second question was they didn't even have a plan. I would ask them for their plan because I've done this almost my entire life and no one had one. And I realized, realtors, this is not a common behavior to sit down, take a weekend and plan for the next year. And so last year I put together a 70-page packet and it was awesome. And I gave it to a bunch of realtors. A lot of you probably have that packet. If you want that packet, just comment packet in the comments and I'll send that out to you. But I realized really quick, like no one has this. Well, I'm starting to get those calls again. And I went and bought a bunch of yearly planning packets from a lot of the big names in the real estate industry. And everybody's packet is the exact same. It's all about planning the next year. And nobody takes the time to encourage you to do a previous year audit, to figure out where you're at emotionally because you're your greatest asset, and then build out the following year in a very unique way. And so today, that's what we're going to dive into. So I'm super excited for you guys to watch this. Grab your notes. We're going to take a ton of notes. We're going to use the whiteboard. We're going to give a ton of examples. I'm going to share a lot of the books that I'd recommend when you go to do a yearly planning session. Hopefully this is the video that you watch that helps you put this together. And at the end, if you need any help, you guys know you can send me your yearly planning templates and I will go through those with you on a Zoom call. Just shoot me a text at 702-525-5766. All right, enjoy. All right, let's jump into this. So you're ending 2024. Maybe you watch this in 2025 and you're going to end 2025. You're sitting down and you're thinking, okay, I need to plan out my future year. I need to organize my prospecting methods, put together my vision board, really figure out what I want to accomplish. This is, to me, one of the best strategies on planning out a long period of time. Now, in real estate, and trust me, I bought probably 20 people's courses on yearly planning from all the big names in real estate, and no one does it this way. No one. Everyone wants you to figure out how many contacts you need to have and how many hours you need to prospect. It's all over here. But before we do that, you need to be over here. And so this entire episode, we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about the books that you need to read, on how you can really get dialed in on your yearly planning so that you can execute and have an incredible year. One of the best books I've read on this, and if you haven't read this, go get it, but it is Switch by Dan and Chip Heath. This is an incredible book that talks about the psychology of changing, right? How to change when change is hard. Well, what are we doing when we yearly plan? We're trying to change behaviors, outcomes, processes. And so in this book, it talks about how a confused mind will always say no. Your subconscious, if the path isn't clear enough, that rider on the elephant, the description he gives in the book, it's going to be too confused. And so your elephant, which is the emotion in the book, is going to run in circles. That's why most people, most realtors are done after the first quarter. They're already off track. That's why most people, when they go to lose weight or they have some other goal, they're already off track pretty early in the year. So the idea is, what books can you read? How can you organize this so you can go have an incredible year? Well, from my experience with all the realtors that I've worked with myself, from mentors that I've had, the biggest thing that it comes down to is really just understanding that before we can dive into the yearly planning, you have to understand that you are the priority. You are your greatest asset as a realtor, as a salesperson, as a 1099 independent contractor. You are the focus. And so the better you can understand that, and before you start to yearly plan, the better you can comprehend those principles that we're going to talk about, then we can go forward. Too often, realtors, coaching programs, other platforms, they want you to just start planning for the next year. They don't have you analyze where you're at, and they don't have you analyze what did you do the previous year. And then on top of that, how are you doing? Let's analyze and pick apart you. Did you grow this year? Are you an emotionally different person? Have you sharpened your skill set? Are you more intellectual? Have you read more books? Have you impacted more people? Are you more further advanced down the line than you were when you started the year? All these questions, that's got to be the focus before we even talk about how to organize and strategize the next year. 3 of my favorite diagrams on this principle, on the idea of doing it this way. There's 3. There's the airplane analogy, train analogy, and there's the boulder. So when you're sitting down and you're doing your yearly planning, these are the 3 best examples that I found that help you understand how important it is to sit down and plan this way. The first one is the airplane analogy. If you were to leave from Salt Lake City and your plane was 6 inches off from its destination, you're gonna either end up all the way up in Minnesota or you're gonna be all the way down in Texas. How crazy is that? So if you don't have a yearly planning session, if you don't take a weekend off to go put this together, then you could have the entire wrong strategy, and within 3 months of the next year, you're off. You're completely off, or you're right on track. So I love that analogy. The other one's the train. A train going 100 miles an hour can literally run through anything. If you have so much momentum in your business, there's nothing that is gonna stop that train. It can go right through a steel plated building. But that same train that's going 1 mile an hour, that doesn't have momentum, that's not explosive, a 4x4 piece of wood can stop them. And so, like, the easiest thing can derail you from your plan. The last one is the boulder. It's that image of the guy pushing the boulder up the hill. It's so hard to get that up the hill. But when you put it together and you plan out your year in advance, what happens is it allows you to get that boulder to the top, and then by the end of Q1, you have all your systems and routines in place. You can flick that boulder, and then for the rest of the year, it's just coast mode. You're literally just coasting because you took all the effort to get that boulder up the mountain. So conceptually understanding these principles is what's gonna help you the most in building out this yearly plan, this 2024 plan. The better you can understand these principles, the better you can go get books like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You can go get books like Switch. Another incredible one is gonna be Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. These types of books that train you on momentum, that train you on precision, on being on the right course. Go read those books. That will teach you how to plan and strategize and organize. That's a skill set you can acquire. Once you acquire that, now you can move forward. All right, the last thing that I want to stress to you real quick before we dive into this is the idea of the law of the 2 creations. My mentor, Casey Baugh, talks about this all the time. He's got an incredible podcast, Case Studies, go watch that. He talks about how everything is created spiritually in the non-existent, the non-tangible form, and then it's created physically. Biblically speaking, this is how the world was created. It was created between God and the Son, and then it was created in a physical form. Same thing with yearly planning. You have to be able to take the time to sit down and plan this out, and then put it into the physical form. The last principle on top of that is in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. He's got a chapter called Sharpening the Saw, and it's incredible. Go get this book, open up to this chapter. He's got an incredible diagram right here. And he gives this example of a guy that's in a forest, sawing down a tree. Another gentleman comes up to him and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm sawing down this tree." And the guy's like, "Well, how long have you been doing this?" The guy's like, "It's taking me like 4 hours." And the other gentleman's like, "Well, why don't you just take a break? Sharpen the saw and you can cut down the tree." The guy's like, "No, I gotta finish. So he doesn't do it. And then all of a sudden, the guy comes back to him and says, "Hey, you should really take a break." The guy takes a 30-minute break, sharpens the saw, goes back, and cuts down the tree. So being able to understand that you are your greatest asset, you need to sit down, have this yearly planning, and really dive into like figuring out where you're at and how this last year was. The better you understand those 2 things, now we can accurately move forward because you know what went well, you know what didn't go well, and you can plan for this coming year. So make sure you go get this book, read that chapter on Sharpening the Saw, and then after that, now we can dive into the next part. All right, now let's dive into the next part. Now that you conceptually understand the importance of planning, because if you've watched Tony Robbins, a lot of his videos, he talks about how in order to master anything, you have to conceptually understand it, then it has to come down to your heart, you have to have experiences where you get behind it, and then you can execute, right? So hopefully that first part you can conceptually get behind the idea of having a weekend where you go and plan out your next year. All right, let's look at this. Before we dive into the 2025, you have got to do this part over here. You've got to understand where are you at, how was last year, what went well, what didn't go well, how are you doing, what are your blessings, the gratitude, the things that you're grateful for. You need to list all that out, okay? So it's a 2023 or the previous year audit. You're gonna take a journal, maybe 10, 15, 20 pages, and you're gonna do an audit of how did the last year go, okay? So for me, I like to always put myself in a deep sense of gratitude. So usually when I go out for the weekend, I'll start by prayer, meditation, and I'll get really grateful for the blessings that I have. So look back at your 2023 and write out like a list of 10, 15 things that you're super grateful for. When you put yourself in that state and you're prayerful, what it does is it calms your mind down. When your mind is calm, then you can see clearly. It's like an airplane pilot or like a captain of a boat going through a storm. Well, imagine being able to calm that storm down and accurately move forward. That's what you're trying to do when you have that planning session. So when you go and you have that weekend, you want to be able to get yourself in that state first, okay? After you do that, you want to look at your business plan. So I'm always going to go look at my business plan for 2023. And I'm going to start asking myself what went well, what didn't go well. And then I'm going to make a list. I'm going to identify it. You have to figure out what went well and what didn't go well. What are the things, the obstacles that got in my way? If my goal was 50 transactions, why the heck did I only do 12? What happened? And then when I make that list, and then I go to do the 2025 plan, I can pull from that and make sure I plan accordingly to not make those same mistakes. So you got to go through your business plan, figure out what went well, what didn't go well, and why. You got to really ask yourself why that didn't go well. Now, once you've done the previous year audit, now you can look at yourself, okay? You've got to get a good idea of where you're at. You need to be able to really look at books like, what's a good one? Smart Cuts. This is a really good book. Shane Snow, the author, he talks about how surfers, when they're in the water, they can almost predict and forecast when good waves are coming and when the bad ones are, and they don't take those. So you, as a salesperson, as a business person, the most important part of your business is you, right? So the better you can understand where you're at, the easier you can navigate, okay? So there's 3 things that you want to ask yourself when you're doing your yearly planning. 1, who am I? Who are you? If you don't understand who you are currently right now, it's going to be really hard to plan because it's hard to outperform or outdo the identity that we hold for ourselves. If I only see myself here, it's hard for me to go any higher than that. And so it's important to correct that identity, that view that you have on yourself. So list it out. Who are you? I'm a disciple of Christ. I'm a father that loves his kids. I'm a good spouse. I'm a student. I'm an active learner. I'm a teacher. I'm an enthusiast of training. And so you just make this long list, and you got to be able to understand who you are, okay? Another one that's really good is going to be what gets me excited, okay? What gets me excited? Like what lights you up right now before you go into the next year? Is it seminars? Is it the production? Are you on a new team? Did you get into a coaching program? Do you have exciting adventures or travel plans, vacations that are coming in 2024 or the next year? What gets you excited? You got to identify that. What lights you up? The better you can understand that, the better you can write it out, the more focused you'll be to then build that 2024 plan. The third thing is gonna be, what are my biggest opportunities? If you just joined a new coaching program, if you're joining a new team, you just got your license, whatever you're planning for, whatever is happening in 2025, what are your biggest opportunities? If you worked, if you grinded, if you actually applied yourself, what are the opportunities that you have in front of you? So these three questions are really, really good at helping you understand where you're at right now. Because again, it's really hard to outperform the identity that you have for yourself. Improve the identity, you can improve the outputs. If you want to have a solid plan, you need to be able to understand where you're currently at. All right, so now let's get to the plan. And what's crazy is sometimes when I bought those PDFs or watched the videos on other real estate coaching platforms or other groups that have done this, go watch them. They all start here, right? But it's important to do the audit. It's important to understand who you are. And then now we can push all that over and now we can detail out your 2025 plan. So there's three things that we're gonna detail out. So on your piece of paper, if you're typing this, however you're doing this, there's three things we're gonna build out. One is gonna be your vision board, okay? We're gonna detail that out together. Then we're gonna do your business plan. And then we're gonna put together your schedule. These three things are the most effective way to build out your business plan for the coming year. Why? Because if you're so focused on the schedule and the routine you need, then when the days come that are really hard, that you have a lot on your plate, that you get confused, clients need this, your family needs this. If you know that it comes from the business plan, and that business plan comes from something that lights you up emotionally, then you'll make sure that you're focused over here and disciplined. Those that usually aren't disciplined, it's because it's not coming from a business plan, it's not coming from any type of a vision board. And so now what you need to do is you need to figure out, okay, in 2024, how do I want to grow? And this is gonna come again from Stephen Covey's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, his chapter on sharpening the saw. There's 4 areas that he has you focus on. This is what I've focused on. This is what a lot of the people that we coach focus on. You wanna make sure you're growing in 4 different areas. So go buy this book, it's on page 300. So he's got the physical, then you got the social and emotional, okay? Then you got the spiritual side and you got the mental side. So the physical side, what do you want to do physically? Are there competitions? Do you need a better nutrition plan? Do you need to get back to the gym? Do you need competitions that push you? What is it physically that you want to do to grow? The physical side is stress management. When I lost my dad, I realized that that was a key part of this that I was missing. And so for me, I go to the chiropractor once a month and I get adjusted. I get a deep tissue massage every 2 months, every other month, because it allows my body to decompress the stress and release it. I also meditate in the mornings. I go to the gym every day. A lot of that stuff is planned so I can decrease the stress. So I'm gonna put that on my vision board. I'm gonna go get a picture. I'm gonna put a Post-it note right here. And that picture is gonna be me either like at a massage parlor or at a stress management meditation area, or it's gonna be me in better shape, whatever it is. And then I'm gonna detail out why that's on there on that Post-it note. Okay, going back to the book on psychology for Switch, How to Change When Change is Hard, he has that depiction of an elephant and a rider. That picture on your vision board is that elephant. It's that excitement that lights you up, gives you goosebumps. And then that Post-it note that says why it's on there, the date that you want it on for 2024, which I just realized this is 2025. So luckily those that watch this channel, you know I'm not perfect. That's why I go door to door for a living. So thanks for hanging in there with me. But you want your Post-it note right there to have the details on it, okay? So that's just for the physical. Then social and emotional, okay? What do I want to accomplish? How do I want to give back? How do I want to impact my community? Again, most realtors, most planning sessions, they're not having you talk about any of this, okay? But these are things that matter more than how many deals you do. The impact that you have on society, that can provide a longer consistency in the industry because you feel like you're giving back more, you're having more impact, you're helping more people. Okay, so set some goals on social and emotional. My wife and I, we give back globally to 3 different charities. We give back locally to 3 different charities. And that's how we can impact, that we can leave a better legacy for those that come after us. Spiritual, okay? Value clarification, a commitment, study, meditation. So figure out spiritually where you want to be for 2025, for this coming year. Where do you want to be this coming year spiritually? How do you want to grow? Do you want to have a better relationship with God? Do you want to make sure that you're meditating more? Do you want to get better on your value system? For me on this part, I know that it always goes God, it always goes myself, it always goes my spouse, it always goes my kids, then community, and then work, okay? For me, spiritually in that category, that's my value system. That's my mission statement. So maybe you want to get better and this year, get more clear, more dialed in on things that actually matter. Okay, and then we go over to mental. Myself, I read probably about 120, 125 books a year. That's usually the average that I've had over the last 10-ish years. How many books do you want to read? Okay, so as realtors, your skill set is what will separate you, differentiate you from all the other realtors in your market. What about seminars? Dwayne and I have a massive seminar the first week of January. It's 5 days. We're taking 20 realtors. We're going to go to a jazz game in Salt Lake City. We're going to a massive door-to-door conference. We're going to have guest speakers. We have a lot of people coming in to train you on different prospecting methods that will help you convert more deals. So what seminars are you going to go to? I always try to go to 1 a quarter. Okay. And then the other is planning. This is one that he mentions in the book. So every week you should have a weekly planning. If you're watching this YouTube video, you don't have a weekly planning template, comment that in the sections. Put weekly planning, and I'll give you my 15-page detailed PDF on weekly planning, and I'll send that out to you. But you should be doing that every week. And then every quarter on your calendar, you should go put a quarterly retreat. So 1 or 2 days where you and your spouse get away and you plan for that next quarter. So all of this you can do to put on your vision board to get ready for your business plan. Now, how do we transfer over to the business plan? I'm going to take everything I have on my vision board for 2024, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up the dollars. Okay? Let's say everything on there, seminars, books, retreats, vacations, giving back to the community. Let's say that added up to 400,000. Okay? What is your average commission check? Let's say it's 10,000. How many deals are you going to need to do in 2024 or 2025, sorry, and to get 400,000? That's going to be 40 deals. Okay? So 40 deals. You see how now I'm more locked in and more likely to hit that because it comes from something meaningful. I have a vision board that has these pictures of the things that I want to accomplish. And it has meaningful things that I connect to on a deep level that are connected to my heart. And now I have reason behind prospecting for 5 hours a day, for grinding when others don't grind, for going to the seminars, for putting in the hours. There's meaning behind that. A lot of realtors that I work with, sometimes I'll ask them, hey, what's your goal for the coming year? And they're like, I don't know, 15? And it's like, why? Like, you don't have any reason behind that? Do you know how much you're gonna make? Do you know what you're going to accomplish? Are you trying to get rental properties? Are you trying to give back to the community? Like, where does that number come from? And then what happens is on their schedule, they're inconsistent because they don't have a big why behind that number. So let's say for number's sake, yours is 40. That's the target. Now let's break this down. You want about 75% of that goal to be some aggressive form of prospecting that's predictable for you to hit that goal. And I always tell people you want about 75% of that goal. I had to look it up because again, I go door to door for a living. I'm not a mathematician. So that's 30. I just looked it up. So 30 deals in 2024 are going to come from, for us, door knocking, okay? So that means I've got 12 months. And so 12 goes into 30. With cancels and everything else, we'll probably need about 3 a month. So when I go have monthly planning sessions or quarterly planning sessions in 2025 in the coming year, I can now break it down and know exactly how many deals from door knocking I need. And what's cool about doing it this way is 3 deals a month. If I talk to 200 people a week, that's times 4 weeks, that's 800 people a month. I only need to find 3 of those that are ready to sell their house or buy. Come on, that's so easy. But what happens is if you don't break it down, then that 30 seems daunting. It seems really, really hard. Now, once you have that number, what you're gonna do is you're gonna break down that they're called non-negotiables. And usually you want about 4, okay? You want non-negotiables. You want things that you can track on a weekly basis where it's like, yes, I did that. No, I did not do that, okay? So for door knocking, it could be time. Maybe it's, I'm gonna do 5 hours on the door. When I do a weekly planning session, I can say, did I do that? Did I not do that? Why did I do it? Why did I not do it? It makes it very easy to break down on a weekly basis. Most Fortune 500 companies, they pay people to come into their business as a third party and they find this stuff and they pick it apart and they get aggressive, frequent feedback. So that's what you want. You have those weekly planning sessions so you can get that feedback about your non-negotiables. Now, once I have door knocking down, you're gonna take 3 other small, make sure these are small, branches to your business plan. So you're gonna look at it and say, okay, what other prospecting methods do I want? For me, this year off social media, I'm projected to close about 10 to 12 deals just off my social media page. Go look at it. It's stgeorgerealtor.jeremy. That platform, everything that I've learned, we even have a course on it. If you go to our website, RealDTD, I have a YouTube video on this, on how to build your social media platform. But let's say I wanted to do social media, and let's say I just wanted literally 4 deals, 1 a quarter. Just 1 person every quarter off social media to reach out to me. Now I'm gonna create 4 non-negotiables because 4 is my target. 4 weekly non-negotiables that I can track. So maybe it's 4 reels a week. That's it. And then maybe once a week I do a live. And then maybe once a week I collaborate with somebody. And then you just pick your other non-negotiable, okay? And then I go over here and I pick my other branch. Maybe I'm gonna do FSBOs and expires. Maybe that's my branch. And then what are you gonna do? You're gonna pick how many you want from that. Again, maybe it's 4 a quarter, or sorry, 1 a quarter, 4 total. And sure enough, I'm gonna do 4 non-negotiables from that. And now I know exactly what to do on a weekly basis. Did I do that? Did I not do that? And then you're gonna go find your 3rd branch. And you, at this point, you only need 2 more and you're at 40. Do you see how your business plan now has more meaning? It's more detailed down. And now all I need to focus on are your routines. There's a great book, and I don't think I have it here today. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about how when most athletes get on the starting line in an Olympic 100-meter race, they all want to win. The goal's the same. All realtors want to have an incredible next year. A lot of them have planned, a lot of them haven't. But what's the difference? Why do 5% of realtors do the 95% of the deals? It's because they're routines. We don't rise to the level of our goals. James Clear says in the book, we fall to the level and standard of our systems. So every week, you should be having a weekly planning session. 2 hours long on a Sunday. You leave Salt Lake and you're 6 inches off. You could be all the way up in Minnesota or all the way down in Texas. So you have to make sure you're checking in every week. Also, you should have a nightly planning session and a morning planning session and a quarterly planning session. The idea is to make sure you have it built in your schedule to keep you on track throughout the year. Now what are we gonna do? We're gonna take all of this and we're gonna move it over to our schedule. So let's say we got 4 a.m. all the way down to 10 p.m. There's 2 things that you're gonna do to now pull everything into your schedule. Your schedule now is gonna be so detailed from your business plan and your vision board. It's gonna give you meaning. So when you wake up, you're excited, you're focused, you're disciplined, you're locked in, you know what you need to accomplish. So there's a few principles you wanna follow. One is time blocking, okay? I wanna cut my day into time blocks. If you wanna know what my schedule was when I sold 75 deals my first year as a realtor, if you wanna know what I'm training other realtors on, in the comment section, type schedule, and I will literally send my exact schedule to you so you know what to do. But the idea is you wanna go ahead and plan this all out, okay? So everything is time blocked. Everything has a purpose throughout the day. You know exactly during this time block what you're doing, during this time block what you're doing. The second thing is you're gonna take your values. So if we go all the way back here to the vision board, under spiritual growth, here are my values. So over here in the schedule, I'm gonna input my values. So for me, God goes into my schedule first. Then I go into my schedule. And then my spouse goes into my schedule. My kids, community, work. Input that into your schedule first. You need to design your life by design, not by default. I've got a great mentor, his name's Jeff Mendez. I look up to the guy a ton, and this is what he preaches on his podcast and what he's preached forever, is live your life by design. Put your values in first, and then let's put work in, okay? Then you're gonna take your business plan and you're gonna throw it in there. And now, all you need to do is just show up every day. You know exactly what you need to do, just like the book that I mentioned earlier by Dan and Chip Heath. When you have that elephant, the excitement in your brain, the motivation, and then you have the analytical guy on top, and they know exactly where to go, and they have a path to follow. Now you can have an explosive 2025 or the following year because it all connects. All of this makes sense. It's all streamlined. Too often as realtors, as salespeople, when we go to plan the next year, we don't do it this way. We don't have a clear, detailed roadmap. And that's an issue. That's why a lot of people fall out of this industry. They don't have a plan. They don't have any type of motivation put together. So when you take a weekend and you plan this out, make sure you go do your audit, figure out where you're currently at, and then go build your 2025 plan. Now, for those that have watched this entire video, if you want to do this together, let me know. Put this plan together, call me, let's schedule a Zoom call, we'll hop on the phone, and I'll pick yours apart. I'll look at your vision board, I'll look at your business plan, and I'll look at your schedule. I'm more than happy to do that for free because I know other brokers, other coaching programs, other leaders, mentors, team leads, they're not going to do this with you. I am more than happy to do it with you. So if you put yours together, call me, shoot me a text, more than happy to put that together. And that's it. That's how you put your yearly plan together for the coming year. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, reach out. All right, let's wrap it up. That was pretty cool. What'd you think? Have you heard of a yearly planning session done that way? Have you seen anybody focus on your vision board, bring that over to your business plan, put that in your schedule, and then also take the time to do a yearly audit from the previous year and focus on you? Remember, when you go do your yearly planning, when you go take a weekend to do this, you are your greatest asset. You need to focus on you. Just like we learned in Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you need to make sure that you're sharpening the saw this coming year, that you need to be a better person at the end versus where you're at now. You need to be growing physically, socially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Prioritize that, and then the rest will come. That has to be the focus. So hopefully on today's episode, you saw that. And like I said when I was at the whiteboard, I seriously will do this with any of you. Go put this together, build out your vision board, build out your business plan, build out your schedule. And if you have any questions, you're not sure, now is the time to clear that up. Because come Q1, the more explosive you can be, all guns blazing, all gas on the fire, foot on the pedal. If you can have a killer first quarter, then the rest of the year is just coasting. Wouldn't that be nice? So I'm more than happy to do that with you because I know no one else is offering that to you. Make sure you reach out, 702-525-5766. And I hope that was super beneficial. Excited to see you guys next week. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications so you know every time one of these videos release. We'll catch you next time.